So this is going to be my exam 3 discussion response post. So I'm going over the questions first on the practice exam that I missed. The first one was number 7. The first step in the self-regulatory learning model developed by Barry Zimmerman, Sebastian Bonner, and Robert Kovac is, and I said, goal setting and strategic planning, when the actual first step is self-evaluation and monitoring. And this model was developed for turning low self-regulatory students into students who engage in those strategies. The next question I got wrong was number 10. And it says, of the following reinforcement schedules that might be used by a teacher, which one leads to the greatest persistence in the desired behavior? I answered variable ratio schedule, but it's actually a variable interval schedule. This schedule produces slow, steady responding because the children don't know when the reward will come. Let's see. The next question I got wrong was question 16. And it says, which of the following scenarios would be the most appropriate for the use of terminating positive reinforcement as a strategy for decreasing undesirable behaviors? I said, when Joe starts a fight during recess, he has to sit in the corner of the playground while his classmates continue to play. But instead, the correct answer is whenever George interrupts the class, the teacher makes him stand in the hallway where he frequently talks to his friends. So of all of these different individuals described, his behavior most likely reinforced by the teacher's response. When he gets sent into the hall, he gets to talk with his friends. So the teacher should terminate this reinforcement of George's undesirable behavior and come up with a different consequence that's less enjoyable for George. The strategy of terminating reinforcement involves withdrawing positive reinforcement from a child's inappropriate behavior. And so let me go to the next one. The next one I got wrong was question 45. And it was, according to Maslow, most people stop maturing after they have satisfied which need? I said self-actualization, but it's actually, the correct answer is esteem. I think that's all. Oh, never mind. I think I have one more. And it's question 41. And it says, Chase believes that his English instructor disliked a recent essay because the teacher disagreed with Chase's point of view. This view best represents a combination of which of the following causal attributions? I said external, unstable, uncontrollable, but the correct answer is actually external, stable, controllable factors. The control, or the locus is external, which is the teacher's view. The stability is stable because the teacher will not change. And the controllability is controllable because Chase can avoid such topics in the future. And I think that's it for that one. So now for my case study response. For question 1, I kind of just have some notes. So operant conditioning is basically the idea that people repeat behaviors when they're rewarded and stop doing them when they aren't. In Amara's case, she started completing fewer worksheets because she wasn't getting the same rewards as the other students. The story says that, or the case study says that Miss Park praises students who finish their worksheets quickly and correctly and even puts their work on the starboard. But because Amara is still learning English, her work doesn't get picked very often. And then she just starts turning in incomplete worksheets. So the STAR workboard is also kind of what psychologists call a discriminative stimulus, which is just something that lets students know what behavior gets rewarded. Everyone can see that finishing worksheets correctly leads to praise and getting your work displayed. And Amara notices that, but she also realizes that she's probably not going to get rewarded because of her English skills. So this makes her feel less motivated to finish her work. For question 2, Bandura's social learning theory says that people learn from their experiences, from watching others, and from believing they can succeed. Self-efficacy means having confidence that you can do something. And at first, Amara didn't really believe she could do well because writing in English was hard for her. She even says in the case study, I don't know the right words, but everything changes during the storytelling activity. She shares her story about her grandmother's village in Ethiopia and the harvest celebration. And her classmates are all really interested. They ask her a bunch of questions, and Miss Park tells her that she's a wonderful storyteller. So that experience really helped boost Amara's confidence. This is also an example of inactive mastery, which means that when you succeed at something, it makes you believe you can succeed again. So after getting that positive experience and that positive response from Miss Park, Amara finishes her full worksheet and even asks if she can write her next assignment about the harvest celebration. That shows that she feels much more confident in herself. And then the last question, number 4. For this question, I would use Bandura's social learning theory. I think a good strategy would be for Miss Park or the other school counselor to practice with Amara on how to tell an adult if someone is copying her work. They could role play what she could say and remind her that the teacher will handle the situation so she doesn't have to worry about Tyler being mean to her at recess. And this works because it builds self-efficacy or confidence. If Amara gets to practice in a safe environment and receives encouragement, she'll feel more comfortable about speaking up in real-life situations. And over time, she'll believe she can handle more problems like this without losing her friends or feeling scared.